Welcome to the webinar. Today we'll discuss a few highlights of what's to come in 2025 in Pointerpro. Maybe fun to just take a short look back of what we've done in the past few years. If you've been with us for a while, you might remember that in 2022 we launched a new version of the report builder that we've dubbed the 2.0 version. In 2023, we subsequently released the distribution portal and the accompanying plan, the distributor plan, but also aggregate reports, which is a fairly powerful addition to the calculation engine that's running behind it. In 2024, so last year, the dashboard builder went live. So now you can make your fancy BI dashboards right inside of our tool. And obviously, everyone's here dying to find out what we're going to do in 2025. But looking back at 2024, I just wanted to mention just a few of these updates that people tend to overlook or might have missed the update, but it's fairly important if the feature is there and you could use it, that you're at least aware of it. So we've actually done quite a bunch of improvements for our friends in Australia. We now have a server in Australia, which is fairly important due to regulations on where the data is supposed to stay. We've moved to Amazon SES as an email provider, which will increase reliability and deliverability of your emails. So the quality should go up quite significantly. We've added quite a few endpoints and improved some of the other ones. There's obviously been security and performance improvements and various UI UX improvements throughout the entire platform. We've also done quite a bit of work on formulas. Once your questionnaire is done, typically people don't look back at the formulas they created, but now there's a few things that are fairly powerful there, including filter handles that can be used in formulas, so that basically you can have multiple filters applied to a single formula. So that is a fairly powerful new feature to have. Also, you can recalculate them from inside the menu right there. Also, quite significant reporting improvements, especially regarding the conversion of the old version 1 report builder to the version 2 report builder. For the people that still are using legacy reports, we do strongly recommend that you try out the conversion and you try to move your report to the secondary version, because of the sheer amount of extra configuration options. Especially if you want to do an update, it's going to give you so much more powerful tools and options to play with. And obviously also in aggregate reporting, we made quite some improvements. Then onwards to distribution. Pre-configured campaigns was probably the biggest hit with our customers. So now you can share with those users a pre-configured campaign so that they don't have to set it up from scratch, and basically even have a quick campaign, which is just 2 or 3 clicks. Also improvements in kind of following up on how these responses are coming in, like the pending responses tab, the no responses tab, and definitely a bunch of other improvements as well. Also releasing the option of downloading aggregate reports from inside the distribution portal as well. Now there's a possibility to create multiple help guides, so you can assign a help guide to one specific person. I'm just highlighting some of them, but there's definitely a bunch that could help your life become a bit easier. And then last but not least, obviously the dashboard builder. So if you're looking for something to do kind of a more advanced analytics on or statistics on the data that you collect, then this could be the tool that you're looking for. Anyway, coming soon, where we're actually here to hear and to talk about. The first thing that I wanted to mention is the upload responses feature that we're going to be releasing fairly soon. Basically, it means that you could download a template from the results dashboard, clean a little bit of the data that you have, and make sure that it's in the upload format. So it typically looks like a spreadsheet. It's the same CSV kind of structure that we use for the rest. And then, just upload it back to the assessment, and then poof, there you go. You could now migrate data from other systems and so on and so forth, and do quite a bit of significant, more powerful data processing on historical data. And so why would you need that? So we got some use cases to kind of inspire you a little bit. Consolidating data from other sources or migrating it over. If you have a questionnaire somewhere else or data from somewhere else that you want to move into Pointerpro, this is the easiest way to do it now. You could also, a lot of people use multiple copies of an assessment. You could basically get the data from multiple of those assessments and just move it into one assessment. So you have a nice big bucket of all of your data that you can do statistical analysis on. So you wouldn't have to combine the data outside of the platform anymore. Recalculating formulas. So another issue that some of you may have encountered is that for formulas, you basically need to have those in place before you collect the responses. Obviously, you don't know everything in advance. Sometimes you go live and you want to tweak something afterwards. And basically, you could export all of your data and upload them again, and then all formulas will be recalculated automatically. But we also have a shiny new button there in the formula screen to do it for a single formula as well. So if it's just one formula, I'd suggest using that button. If it's for the entire questionnaire, then you could do the export import kind of trick and everything will recalculate. Collecting responses while you're still working on the PDF report. Again, one of those things that people encounter. Those widget rules to hide and show specific widgets in the report are calculated when the response comes in. If you're still working on your report, you might want to recalculate all of those rules so that they can retroactively be transformed into a PDF report as well. But even more powerful is it allows you to export the data and manipulate the data and upload it again. So if there's mistakes in there, you can export that one line, change the line and upload it again. And that way you can fix mistakes that might have been submitted in the original response. So anyway, these changes are currently in testing and in what we call a beta phase. So we're actively trying them out, and we're trying to break the system to see that they're consistently working. But we expect within a month or two, this feature should be available to everyone. If for some reason you need it sooner, then there's definitely also the possibility to reach out to us. We can see if we can add you to the beta program as well, maybe in a second stage. Anyway, more fancy stuff. We're going to focus quite heavily on user experience this year. And one of those things that we want to address, and what we've got as feedback from the NPS results, is the way that you can configure charts in the report builder. So you probably, if you've built it before, you might remember the very long vertical list of fields that you all have to fill in. So we're actively redesigning all of these charts to one by one change those modal windows, those pop-ups, to an interface that looks more like this. So more intuitive, more self-explanatory, more recognizable if you work with spreadsheets in general. So the data entry would be way more logical, showing you a little example as well, and giving you a better overview instead of a very long scroll bar. So we're going to start this quarter with the spider chart, which is typically known internally as the one that causes the most questions for people. But we will gradually throughout the year continue updating more and more of these charts. So if all goes well, we've launched a poll asking you if there are specific charts that you think should happen first. So if we figure out that the most demand is, for example, for a bar chart, then we'll try to pull that one in quarter number 2 rather than potentially ending up in quarter number 4. So head on over to the polls and see if you can give us that feedback. So we'll be doing this for all the charts anyway. It's just a question of which one comes first. We're also very eager to hear feedback on this. So if there's concerns or issues when it goes live, we're always happy to hear from you, especially because we're now launching one. So that gives us ample of opportunity to get the other ones and do it the first time right for the other ones after being field tested. Anyway, we're doing much more than just that, luckily. We're also adding more configuration options to the reports, such as, for example, in the tables, adding the option of configuring a column width, so that column will always take a specific amount of space rather than being squished by the other columns that might be containing a lot more or longer text. But also options such as what you want to do with the borders, text alignments, typical things that you would expect from, for example, what you see in Excel. But we're gradually adding some of these options. We're also adding a filter option to a responses table, which means that you would be able to create multiple response tables, but filter each of them to show something specific. So, for example, I want a response table of all the people that said yes, and I want a different response table of all the people that said no. That way you can basically split them up just with the tool without doing any crazy workarounds anymore. These are just a few suggestions and a few things that we've got planned for quarter number 1. So these should be there by end of March, beginning of April. But we'll be continuing this work as well in the next quarters to see if we can tackle the most prominent requests that customers have. So again, this is also one of those things that came as a feedback from the NPS. So next time we do a survey in asking you guys for your opinion and asking what needs to be better, I only can warmly recommend that you fill it in and you explicitly mention some things, because we do take them into account. And this year we've actually dedicated quite a bit of the roadmap just to tackle those things. And then last but not least, and probably the most exciting one, well, for me at least, because I've been fighting to get this one done for a while now, is a fresh new look for the questionnaire builder. So the face and the starting point for everyone in our tool is finally getting a makeover, like we did for the report builder in 2022. We are going to give this a nice renovation. So no longer will you see this screen in the future, but we are moving or transitioning slowly but steadily into something that looks a little bit more like this. We are trying to make the interface quite a bit calmer, kind of changing the layout quite significantly. So giving you an overview of all your questions and other elements on the left side, collapsible question blocks, but also visualizing the question blocks in that layer menu, also visualizing the outcomes in there, basically giving you a full overview of what steps or what questions are in your questionnaire. In the middle, you'll see as close as possible to a live preview that we can get. So we're going to try and visualize the questionnaire into as much detail as we can, but it's going to behave a little bit like it does for the report builder. So we're going to make some of these elements clickable, and that's where the dotted lines come into play. When you click them, you actually open a pop-up window to configure that specific piece of the questionnaire or of that question. And then when you hit save and close, it goes back in and it updates immediately right here. And you see what it's going to look like when you actually do the questionnaire. Now we're still going to keep the previews because it's an approximation, so it should be fine. But just in case you want to kind of experience what happens when you click on stuff, that's where the preview comes in handy. But it will allow you to get an interface that is quite a bit calmer and less fields and buttons that are polluting the screen. And then at the right side, we'll add some of the other options that might not fit in any of the other screens there. And accompanying that, we'll also obviously update the way that the settings are looking. So we're moving away as much as possible from a very long list of all settings and trying to combine them a little bit better in logical groups and redefining the way that they're explained. What you can see here as well, and that's something that's going to be done throughout the entire questionnaire builder as much as possible, is there at the right column, you see a little square box. If your screen is big enough, you can recognize that there's a little question mark in there. So we're adding like in-app tooltips to replace it. Now we have these, let's call them kind of grayed out text as subtitles for a lot of these menu items. We're going to try to get those off the screen because they're just kind of, making it more crowded and more chaotic. But we're going to add more information than just that text behind a little hover menu in those question marks. So that gives you the opportunity of learning what some of these features do without having to revert to the help guides or guessing and doing trial and error. We're going to try and explain better what things do inside of the tool without the need to go external, which is also fun if you're going white label, because referring to a help guide when you're white labeled is obviously kind of silly. It will make the way of working inside of the tool and getting your questionnaires up and running quite significantly easier if things go right. So as for planning here, what you can expect is during the course of this quarter, but probably closer towards the end, you will probably see the first interface changes that relate to this, especially regarding the intro screen. So we're changing it question type per question type because all of these screens have different options and different fields and configurations. So we're doing question type per question type, and we're releasing them throughout the year. So by the end of the year, and probably a bit sooner, all the common screens that are related to the questionnaire builder will have changed. But in the meantime, nothing really breaks. So we are going to make sure that that's not something to worry about. Another thing to kind of mention as well is the text editor, which is kind of prominent throughout the entire platform, especially a questionnaire builder, how you type the email bodies, the text widgets in the report builder, all of these, they're actually one similar component. So we're going to update that one as well and try to get a better user experience from that as well in terms of configuring your text and maintaining or applying styles and configuration in those text widgets. So that's also something coming this quarter still. So I'm just going to have a quick look at the polls in the meantime and see if I can see what's coming up. And I see that the bar chart, the gauge chart, and the spider chart are probably at the moment the most popular ones. But anyway, we will see in what way we can we can push these as soon as possible. Again, the rest will come, but it will come probably slightly later during the year. But thank you all for your input there. Before we head over to the questions, I think I just wanted to mention that again, that we are taking user feedback quite seriously. We're going to try and keep doing that and doing that better throughout the rest of the year. So there might be more feedback moments coming, and we again warmly invite everyone to provide us with your opinions, be it positive or negative. But giving us that feedback and that insight allows us to determine if something is something that applies to only one person and it only is an issue for one person, or it could be for multiple people. So the more feedback we get, the better insights we get of what we need to change. So don't hesitate. It's not that it's going to be held against you. On the contrary, it also gives us insights if something changes, that we might be able to contact you and ask, hey, we've got these designs ready. What do you think? So if you're up for that, then don't hold back. Anyway, that was it for the slide deck that I had prepared. I think we have quite a bit of time left for some questions. But as you can see, I forgot to do the animations here. Keep in mind a clean interface and a clear questionnaire flow are the drivers of this. And the added bonus is that it gives you a design and content preview while you're doing it in this shiny new interface. It might, by the way, not look exactly like this. This is an early mock-up that I made. So we're actively developing it, and we're using the latest technologies, but we're not going to force this design if we encounter a better alternative in the process. So by now probably what my email address is. You probably know how to get in touch with us, especially if you have questions, want to know more, want to discuss something, anything, interests in professional services, also something to keep in mind. If you don't have the time or the know-how or interest to build it, then you can have some of our experts build it for you, and then you don't have to worry about anything anymore. But let's see if there's some questions in the chat. All right. I am happy to hear that the upload function is popular. So we're glad to do that. It was harder than we expected, so we're happy that it's actually making an impact. Will there be more options to size the chart? So yeah, so the step one is now to rebuild the interface as it is, and the goal is, and in the actual designs that I made, I added some extra features that we would like to add in the near future as well. Step one is just keeping it as it is, making sure that we don't lose any backwards compatibility. Step two is adding more options and adjusting options, but we have to be always super careful with these, because if somebody already uses this option, we can't break their report or their questionnaire. So that's the reason why we do that in two separate steps, because it needs a longer trajectory of validation. So yes, there will be at some point we'll have more options in terms of styling and sizing charts. Yes, as fairly little options at the moment to style charts or to size these charts. Will there be any additional integration options in the coming year? Yes, we are trying, and we are looking for ways to do integrations on a larger scale through the platform. But this is fairly early stage, and it is hard to guarantee that everything will work. will work out this year. So we are actively researching and finding the best kind of components and software to integrate into our platform to make it easy for you people to configure your own integrations. Up until that point, it's still kind of heavily relying on using Zapier or Make and the API endpoints that we have. But we are aware that there is a fair amount of requests regarding integrations. Will there be an option to add comments throughout the tool? Example, questionnaire, formulas, outcomes, report, or widget. I'm not 100% sure, Mark, if I understand your question correctly. Is that comments towards just making a note for yourself so that you remember what it actually is supposed to do, or is that more like a feedback tool? Or I assume it's I would like to just note down what it's. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So for yourself to kind of remember what this thing is supposed to do, because the title is fairly short. It's currently not in scope, but it might be fairly simple to do so. So I'm going to talk to our developers and see if we can already do that on some of the more prominent items, and if we can take it into the designs, especially because for the questionnaire, the formulas and the outcomes and stuff like that, that all still needs to be redesigned. So it's good that pops up again. I think we mentioned that at some point in the call as well. I'll see if we can push that through. In any case, if something comes up, I'll try to reach out to you and see if we can give you an update on that. Dashboard Builder will benefit from the ability to have greater control over chart labels, group by, more functions. Yeah. Is there anything on the roadmap for this? So for Dashboard Builder, in Q1, we're actually looking into the data structure that is used by the Dashboard Builder, and we're trying to do improvements in that data structure. And while we're doing that, we're also looking into how can we ensure that the right labels come through as well. It won't get to the point where in the Dashboard Builder you can just kind of select the label and rename it, but the labels that are used throughout the questionnaire will follow through towards the Dashboard Builder. So there should be some improvement, but I'm not 100% sure if it's going to be enough. Now, I think based on the Dashboard Builder, once that new data structure has been implemented, you should already see significant improvements there as well. Okay, what's the best way to reach out? I wonder if you could. So the best way to reach out, if you haven't had contact with anyone, the easiest way is, first of all, you could just drop me an email, and I can look up who your account manager and other people are that you might be in or should be in contact with. If not, support is usually our kind of our traffic managers in terms of communication. So usually most communications go to support, and then they kind of redirect it to us as well, or to the teams that are most relevant. If it is more salesy, then you will be in contact with your account manager, and if you don't know who that is, they'll reach out to you. Well, we can make a note of that and see if they can actively reach out to you after this session. So yeah, I think they can take it from there. All right, question from Susan. Is there a plan to allow integrations for accounts that are white labeled? Still only options to unwhite and set the integration and then re-white label. I'm not 100% sure which integrations we're talking about here, Susan. Once you white label, yeah, the thing is, it depends on which system you're trying to integrate for which kind of data, and if it needs to be filtered to something within that white label or not. What we can do is I'll see if I can contact someone in the company here that has been in contact with you, if they can give me some more explanation, and we'll see if we can get back to you on the capacity there. Now, once we get that, the plans for integrations that we want to do, but we're deciding not to officially communicate any timelines on that. Once we get steps forward there, the goal is to have it for everyone. So not only for non-white label people. Ideally, it should work for everyone, regardless of white label or not, and it should be able to set up without disconnecting a white label. So there's no way that that's a desired effect. All right. Okay, dashboard builder, the ability to add comments at chart level will be helpful. Yeah, all right. Noted. See, so Nata is going to reach out to you, Jeff. Then explain what a variable is for. Yes and no. We got that one. Bar charts. Would any update including options to sort bars, descending or ascending? This could improve the ease of interpretation to readers. Yeah, absolutely. Again, step one is just redesigning it so that it's easier to configure. Step two would be adding options like this. So I'm going to add this to the list of improvements to do on charts. But something like that is definitely in line. It's kind of in line with the adding column widths to tables. It kind of makes sense to add sorting options there as well. So definitely a very good suggestion, and I'll take it along. Okay. Are there any plans for any questions? Running calculations on the side of questions. Yeah, it doesn't come up that often, Morgan, in my recollection. What is definitely possible there is through professional services, we can also add JavaScript to questionnaires. And using that JavaScript, we can basically kind of enforce calculations or do calculations outside of the system. So it's a little bit of coding. So if it's something fairly small, then that's definitely an option to see if we can just add a little bit of JavaScript to do that for you. That is typically the fallback for these kind of questions that don't pop up that often. Now, I would very much like to look into it a little bit further and see if there's more that we can do, but additional costs to the reporter plan. You mean to get to the reporter plan, or just the additional cost for the JavaScript? You mean? Well, it depends on how complex it is, but it ranges from a couple €100 for something very small to maybe 1,000 or 2,000 if it's more complex. If it's only the JavaScript, it depends very much on the use case. Again, if it's fairly small, then it wouldn't be something to be scared of. Again, I'm giving a nod to our professional services expert here, and he can reach out to you and see if we can figure out what kind of JavaScript we're talking about, and we can always make a quote, and you can still see if that's something that makes sense or not. So The good thing is once we have the information on how the JavaScript would have to work for you guys, then we also know if it's making sense if we're building it directly into the platform. So that gives us immediately a very good overview of what you're trying to do. Will there be any way for users on the distributor portal to know if invitation emails have bounced or otherwise not been delivered? Normally in the distribution portal, since we've gone to Amazon Says, the email analytics should have gone live, which means that the email the campaigns that have been sent out through a customer, if you click the little arrow down on the right end of your campaign overview, it'll open, and at the bottom you'll see a little colored bar that kind of shows how many have bounced and how many have been opened, and a little button to see the details. So that way you can actually see which mails have bounced or not. And also inside the results tab of the distribution portal, there's two new tabs, response pending and no response. If it bounced, it will go into the no response tab, and you can see them there, the contacts that actually have bounced. And if they're pending a response, they're there until they either respond or the campaign ends. So you kind of have the overview there. There might be an issue with permissions on your account that you're not seeing it, but it should be available. So if you're not seeing it, reach out to support and ask them to turn on the email analytics and make sure that everything is configured correctly for you. Yes, AI. Yes, we're actively talking about AI. There's a few ideas on the table, and we've kind of started to take shape a little bit more. Ideally, we would like to go into AI much more towards the second half of the year. Especially, we're looking into better ways to kind of visualize data that you're collecting, and if we can get AI to help there. But there's a number of ideas that are going around in the company that we're evaluating. We just want to make sure that it's safe to use and that it is actually of help to you guys. A lot of software seem to struggle with the fact that once you open up the prompt to an AI, that people get wrong results or unreliable results of poor quality. So we're making sure that we get that up to a level that's valuable to you guys, rather than just making the first easy, quick integration with AI that might not be as reliable. So yes, there is AI coming, but up to a kind of boxed set of features to help you understand better what's going on inside the platform. All right. I think we're through the questions, and I think we're kind of at the end of our time slot anyway. If there's any more questions, obviously just reach out either to my email address here on screen, to support, to the people that you already know. We're all very much and very happy to help you. I'm looking forward to hearing from you again. We will reach out to the people that actually replied here if there's something more specific or something more direct that we need to pick up. And I would like to thank you all for joining, and we hope to see you soon and talk to you soon.